Alright y'all, I'm heading out for another doctor's appointment and then I'm going to maybe run a few errands. But I'm walking through my flower garden real quick, me and Eli, before he heads out. And then we're going to meet back again for vacation, which we are looking forward to.
Yes.
Y'all, check out my molly grass. It's huge. Awesome. Now there's usually hummingbirds in here. Cool, isn't it? I don't even see them.
It didn't take long to grow over.
No, it didn't. It's pretty neat. The hummingbirds are after these little flowers. They sit in here a lot. Wow, it's loud in here.
It's pretty neat.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
They're tall. My zinnias are taller than Eli, and he's 6'3", 6'3"-ish, 6'3.5". Is it there?
I almost had him.
Oh, must like you. They're always afraid of me. You have
You just gotta get him.
the touch. All right, be safe, okay?
I will. Love you.
Love you too.
Bye.
Bye. Good afternoon. All right, y'all, I got back from my shopping. Had to get a few things for the trip this weekend. I'm sure I'll be out again. I'm out here to show you guys these awesome blooms from my cannas. They are just absolutely exquisite. It's actually seed pods on here. I came out last night when the sun was fixing to set, and it was like the golden hour, and they were shining on them, and they are just amazing. They're like the prettiest pink purple color. My husband planted these when Eli was little, and he's 20 now. Sad. So I have pictures of him when Eli was little and planting these things, and they just take off. They take off every year, and they actually keep coming out further into the yard, so my husband keeps kind of chopping at them, but they just keep coming up. They're so cool though. My neighbor says he has issues with his, but my whole yard would be cannas if we let them. Y'all check out my molly grass. So it's pink molly grass, and these tassels, they turn pink in the fall. And I bought this as a small plant. They were quite expensive actually, $20 for a little like 6-inch plant. But over the last couple years, it's grown massively. We've had to move our Japanese maple because it was just into the tree. Isn't that cool? Super cool. Y'all, there's another fairy ring coming up. I just noticed it. It's very small though, but it looks like the beginnings of one. Possibly. Check that out. So I'm up here checking on Seth's aquarium. We've been dealing with an issue with his aquarium. So we went week before last, I think it was, to get some fish. I actually went to get some plants. There's a store we go to that has a lot of variety of plants. They used to get them on Fridays. And we went up there, and when we did, we got in there and they had some fish, some tetras. So those right there, the little bit bigger tetra, they're called red and blue tetra, I think. Well, little did we know, they got them from, he said that somebody brought them in, and we assumed that they'd been quarantined, but little did we know, I think somebody had brought them in that day, and they weren't quarantined, and Seth brought them home. And now I can't tell you for sure this is exactly what happened, but I think they might have had ick on them. And last week we noticed some spots on some of the fish. Actually, I did. Seth thought it was these little granules that we've been putting in the tank to treat some other stuff, but they were covered in ick, and it happened so quickly. Like, by the next day, some of the tetras he had in here, the ones with like the little black and white tails, were super covered. So we went out and got some treatment and put on him, but it just didn't get it in time, and he's lost like 5 or 6 fish, and even his little shark he's had for a long time. So we've been pretty kind of upset about that's happened. And we're trying to put this stuff in the tank like every 48 hours. It's like this purple stuff. And the fish look a little better today, but we're pretty upset that we bought fish that had ick on it now. Hopefully this treatment that we're doing now is going to fix the problem. They say that it gets like into the rocks and it just like multiplies and can get all over everything. So yeah, we've never had that problem before. That's why we're thinking that it might have come from whoever dropped those fish off. They're definitely looking better though. What's your theory, Molly? Huh? Say. She likes the fish too. She watches them with us all the time. Alright y'all, so I'm out here doing some pruning, cutting down some things that need to be removed. There's a lot of spent flowers and stuff I want to salvage the seeds from. And I'm just going to save seeds from just about everything I can this year. I've been hearing rumors of seed shortages. I don't know how factual that is, but I save seeds to begin with. But I'm going to go ahead and get some stuff, and I'm going to start with some of my sunflowers. Now, if you can see this seed head right here, there's still some covering over the seeds, and you can see them. If you remove those, you can see all the seeds that are inside here. So the birds haven't taken those yet, but now they will take a lot of them. I have finches out here and they stay on these sunflowers. They love them, and I do let them have a lot of the seeds, but these are good for drying to replant next year or even eating. They're great. So I'm gonna put some of these heads in here and save some of those. I'm gonna save some of my colors that I really like, some of the different types of sunflowers, and see what I get next year. A lot of these will probably reseed too because they've dropped their seeds down into the soil. I'm just going to keep some just in case, and I'm also going to eat some of them too. I'm going to do the same with a lot of these zinnias. I have a bunch of different colors, and I'm going to keep some of those too. And then I'm going to go on this back side of my fence, and I've got sunflowers that have fallen or that are spent. I'm going to take some of those down too. And I'm just going to do some spot cleaning around here, especially before we get ready to leave. I've got some things I got to get done. All right, y'all, I picked some pretty sunflowers to save. Up here to dry. I love these autumn blends. Really pretty. I have cleared out some of these things that needed to be taken down. Now, I still have some sunflowers back here that are spent. They're not real pretty looking, but the bees are still all over them. I'm gonna let the bees continue to work on them, and also the finches. They love the seeds. But look at this sunflower right there. I showed you guys the other day on another video. It is the biggest one. It's the biggest head that I've grown so far. So I'm definitely going to take some of the seeds off these, and you can see them. There's tons of them back here behind these little flowers. So I'm going to save some of those before the finches come and get all those. We'll mark those and see if they grow some really big ones next year. I saw this one guy on the internet. They showed a video. They were talking about this guy saving the biggest sunflowers every year, seeds from them, and replanting them. And they just got kind of larger every year, and he had one massive sunflower. Now, I don't know how true that was, but that would be something I'm willing to try. That'd be kind of fun. Y'all, I noticed something too. Look here. My clematis has bloomed again. Now, my mom gave me this in the springtime, and it bloomed then. I didn't know that it would bloom again a second time, so that's pretty cool. Some clematises bloom in the fall, but the one she gave me, I believe, was a spring one, but it's decided to grace me with another pretty bloom. And hopefully next year it will climb up this even more so and grow a little bit. My neighbor gave me one too. It was just a little cutting, and it looks like it's still doing good down here. I've got to get some of these weeds out of here. Weeds, my life story trying to take over. I hear a helicopter. Let's see, oh, there it is. my marigolds are putting off a really strong fragrance. I've got a ton of blooms right now. They smell really good. I put flower tone on them last month and they've really taken off. All right, y'all, I gotta have some dinner. So I'm headed in, and it is clouded up. The clouds are really cool looking too. Look at them. Look at that. Maybe it's gonna rain. I don't know. The Lord has definitely blessed us with rain this year, but that's good because I haven't had to water my garden one bit in the last month or so. And I got beans coming up, and hopefully when we get back from our vacation, we'll be getting close to a second harvest on those. All right, I hope you guys have a wonderful night, and I'll probably talk to you guys sometime tomorrow. It is a beautiful Wednesday here. It's nice and sunny and warm again. Well, it's always been warm. We had a cooler weekend, but temperatures are kind of rebounding. Like I told you guys earlier, we're fixing to head out on vacation, so I'm trying to get some things in order here before I leave. So I got the grass mowed this morning in my flower garden, and I am doing a water change on my pond. And I thought I'd share a little update on my pond and kind of give a little advice if you do have a pond, if you do have a greenhouse and you're considering putting one inside, or maybe you have one on your porch. Now, this one can stay out year-round because I do keep my greenhouse heated in the wintertime with a pellet stove. And I started this pond last winter, did great over the wintertime. I do have a big heater inside of it, and it can pop on, you know, whatever temperature I set it at. I don't want it to get too cold, but like I said, it really doesn't come on much because the greenhouse stays heated. And it's done great over the summer. That was one of my biggest worries, that it would get too hot for the fish. I have goldfish, guppies, and koi, and snails. And actually I have some cory cats in here, and all those have done super good. I have probably had this pond in the upper 80s, the temperature. That's probably the hottest it's been. It's starting to get a little cooler now because our nights are getting into the 60s, so the fish are probably liking that a little bit better. But I haven't lost any fish or seen any that look stressed, so I think they've done pretty good. And I think the hottest part of the weather is about over. So I'll share a little bit about my maintenance and what I do. So I do a water change probably about once a month on the pond. And basically I have some little hydroponic pots in here with little pea gravel in it. I use those to collect fish poop. And I take my little vacuum and I suck down into there and get all that lovely fish poop out, because what I do with that is I water and fertilize my plants. And I've done that for about a year now. They love it. They do really great. I haven't had any problems. Plants in here bloom and flourish. I watered all of my seed starts with this fertilizer that I made in here. Didn't have to go buy anything. And I use these products right here. I like this one. It keeps my pond clean. It's like a water garden cleaner, promotes fish health, vigor, reduces maintenance, eliminates odors and things like that. And then this is a little algae reducer, reduces sludge and things like that, and it gives like a measurement of how much you need to put in there. And then when I add water, I use this as a tap water conditioner. It gets the chlorine out of the water. So those are the three things that I use when I do a water change. And I've really not had a lot of problems. I do have a little bit of algae down the rocks. I keep river rock in here. And what I do is when I do a water change, I just flip the rock, because on the underneath side, it doesn't have any algae. And it's probably just from the sun right here. And I could probably shade it more, but it does okay. It's not bad. And I haven't really put any of that algae stuff in a while, so it probably needs it. But I have baby snails in here that I hatched out. They lay eggs all the time. I have baby guppies in here. So it's working out pretty good. I was going to talk a little bit more about my cannas. I had so many people responding to my post on these, and they had a lot of questions on what kind they were. Now, I will probably butcher the name, but they're Canna turikimi. I'm going to put the spelling below so you can look it up if you are curious, or maybe you want to try to pronounce it better than I can. But this right here is the seed pods. I want to try to grow these from the seed pods. You want to dry these out first, and the seeds are inside of here. So you'll have to soak them for a bit. To actually try to germinate these maybe a couple months before they can go outside, maybe in the springtime. So there's different information you can look up on the internet on that, but they say it might be a little tricky to try to do it. I know that the easiest way to probably get these is the offshoots that they grow down here, and I can just dig them up and put them somewhere else. that seems like probably a really easy way to do it, but I would be curious to see if I could maybe try to germinate these from that. I may try to give it a try in my greenhouse and see how they do. They have a really pretty bloom right here. You can see it. And a lot of times they bloom in the spring, but mine are blooming now into late summer, so they're pretty neat. We grew them here to hide the pole right here, and they've been here for quite a long time. So I want to show you guys my Semper Vivans. These are a hard succulent. Hard succulents are winter hardy. They can stay out in the winter. I never bring these into my greenhouse. And I want to show you guys the bloom that's coming out on this one. Now, these are called monocarpic, and what that means is when they bloom, the mother plant dies after that. So, beautiful bloom, but kind of sad too. But the thing is they, before they bloom and die, they have all kinds of babies, and they're little offshoots, and they're connected to the mama, and you can pull them off or cut them, and you've got another little plant. You can just lay them on top of the soil and they'll root in, or you can just kind of dig them a little spot down in there, or put them in another pot. But they're very prolific. I have lots of hard succulents, and it was crazy this year because I really couldn't find many of these hard succulents out. They were kind of scarce, so I just keep reproducing mine, and I do keep them in the greenhouse too because they do fine in there. Kind of over the winter they'll kind of close up a little bit, kind of real brown, but when springtime comes they open up. And they're also really pretty in the fall because when the temperature ranges are vast from daytime to nighttime, so that causes a lot of colors to come out in the succulents. It stresses them, it makes them really pretty. So these will turn purples and reds and in those colors. So this is another wash tub I've got here full of sedums, different varieties. There are so many different varieties of sedums, and these are also winter hardy. Don't have to move these in. Got some little clovers growing in here, but they're really pretty, and they are so hardy. You really don't have to do a whole lot to these. I don't even water them. If it rains, it waters them. If it doesn't, they're fine too. They have dropped a lot of seeds and things because they're kind of starting to grow all throughout my rock. And as you can see, they don't need any soil to live. They're living in my rock, and they're doing fine. And this is some Angelina, and it's growing all the way through here, back there. And look at these little ones. Look at these little Semper Vivans, these little hard succulents. Now they've fallen into here and produced a bunch of babies. They're literally living in rock. They've been here for a couple years. And they're so cute, and I leave them there because I think it's pretty fascinating. They've been here for a couple years.